Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. And so, before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and clear the energies to set the intentions for this particular session. Hello and welcome. I hope everyone is doing well. Let's
Friday
see
night.
here. Yes, I do see here. No More Lies is a new member. Thank you,
No
honey, for
more
being a
lies.
member.
I like that. That's a good
Uh
name.
huh. And not actually my name. Welcome. Let's see here. Shabaka, hello, honey. You got the notification today? Awesome. So, guys, before I let Sunny speak, I do want to have a quick little announcement. And if you have navigated towards my website, because I haven't really advertised my new stuff and I have more to come, is a couple of new products. And so the latest that I have is Sweet Romance.
Mm,
Yes, this is a new spray that I have created, and it is to manifest and attract true love and to strengthen deep relationships. Now, this is like a how do you call this? Like a love potion, but I'm not calling it a love potion, guys. This fragrance is it smells really good. It smells like strawberries
mm.
and it has a musk to it. And so when you spray it on, you smell delicious to the point where you want your if you're with your other person that they want to taste you. So I've created this and I hope you all enjoy it. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and snag one today. Okay. And the other thing that I have, since we're talking about the new moon, I have created the full moon and the new moon bath salts.
Nice.
Yes. And they smell lovely and divine. And all the ingredients are listed on the container. I'm not going to go through all of it, but guys, it smells wonderful. And, you can have this, sent to you monthly for your bathing rituals so that you can feel cleansed and release any kind of negative energies and clear your auric field every time we have a new moon and a full moon. So, if you're going through a funk and you're not feeling good, basically, you take you a salt bath under the full moon or new moon and set your intentions. And as you're done taking your bath, all the negative jujus go down the drain. And not only that, you should feel silky and refreshed afterwards. And so, I just wanted to showcase this today. And let me show you real quickly. If you order this for a limited time, well, not really. I will send you some free samples of the Sweet Romance and the Synergy. Now, I don't have any Synergy sprays because they're sold out. I have to make some more. So thank you if you actually already purchased this. Now, I just released this on Monday. And so it's already, whatever batch I've made, it's already sold out. So thank you for the ones who actually purchased those. And this is what the box looks like.
I
Let's see.
love your boxes. They're
Well,
so
thank you,
nice.
honey. Yes.
I kept it. I didn't recycle it.
You didn't recycle?
I'm going
That's
to use it.
good.
I don't know what I'm going to use it for, but I
Well,
like
you know
because
what?
it's sitting in the lid there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've actually had some of my subscribers recycle the box and send stuff back to me in the
Oh,
box that I gave them stuff
that's a
with.
good idea too.
So they didn't have to purchase a box. I was like, wow, look, this box had, it went through it
Yeah,
traveled. It's a well-traveled box.
yeah. What was that?
So, with that being said, I'm going to turn the attention over towards Sunny. And Sunny, welcome.
Thank
And yes, thank you for being here with us today. So, please tell us, what can we expect with this new moon?
Well, I thought since we're a little early, because it's not until Tuesday, the 6th, right? Or,
Mhm.
yeah, Wednesday is the 6th, sorry. Wednesday, the 6th. So I thought maybe I would say a few things about going into the weekend. And also, when we met a couple of weeks ago, under the full moon, we're still kind of experiencing those energies too. So I wanted to say a couple of words about retrograde planets. Um, the best way that I can describe Mercury retrograde is it plays out like a blind spot in our mind. So it might not necessarily mean that something went wacky. It's just whenever we were engaged or buying it or looking at something to buy, we didn't see everything. This is when the Mercury goes behind the sun. So the sun's energy is between us here on the earth and the vibrations coming off of Mercury, and they get diluted. And that's why miscommunications, mishaps with travel, the things that Mercury represents. So that was the first thing, because we are still experiencing Mercury retrograde till the end of the month. And so this weekend, we have this sort of coming off of I'm sorry, I want to get my thoughts here. There's so much going on this month. So every summer we have all the outer planets go retrograde, and that's kind of how derived the lazy days of summer, right? Energies slow down. And so here in October, we're going to have the same day of the new moon, the planet Pluto goes direct. Um, that's an outer planet. It moves very slow. Around the 18th of the month, Jupiter goes direct. Just before that, on the 10th, Saturn goes direct. So Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter are further away from the Earth. So when they station to go direct, like even now, if you're real sensitive to energy, you can feel a drag sort of in the energy, a density of energy. And those outer planets take a long time to speed back up. One way to think about it is like a pendulum, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the quickest point of the pendulum is right at point zero, and as it moves from side to side, it's slow. That's kind of like how to describe an outer planet coming from retrograde to direct. So, not what anybody really wants to hear, but those outer planets really don't get good and moving forward till like December, January, February. Okay, so Mercury is a personal planet. It's closer to us. We feel, we'll feel the
Energy.
yeah, we'll feel it a more personal, okay,
Mhm.
personal planet as opposed to outer generational planets.
Got
So
it.
um, the other thing happening on the 3rd, which is Sunday, is Mercury trining Jupiter, and that will happen twice this month, which is a kind of a little rarity of a thing for Mercury to make two trines to the planet Jupiter in 1 month. It's happening later in this weekend, and it will happen again right around Halloween. And this is like just genuine potential. Just, Jupiter it's the largest planet in our galaxy. and it represents freedom and higher mind, spirituality, spiritual freedom, um, anything foreign, whether it be cultures or peoples or traveling to foreign places. And it's also about optimism and hope. Kind of gets us out of a stalemate feeling like we might be feeling like we're a little bit of in a holding pattern. And that feeling will kind of stick with us in October, but definitely start feeling better towards the end of the month as far as things moving forward and getting clarity. So that's kind of an unusual little thing. I think right before we were coming live, I came up with the word for the energies we're experiencing, and that would be gnarly. So it's kind of
Oh, okay.
gnarly out there this weekend. Um, so on the 7th, which is the day after the new moon, the planet Venus changes sign into Sagittarius. So our new moon is in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. And Libra is the strategist, the judge, the scales of law and balance. Libra is an air sign that really, is very intellectual, very social, all about being in a beautiful environment, admiring beautiful things. I have probably one of my best friends is a Libra, and she's an older person, but she just has a lot of energy to socialize and keep moving and doing things. And so I would think this weekend would be like festivals and marathons, and we're, in certain areas getting into really good time of year for outdoor things. Not so much the heat of the summer here anyway, but whatever applies to where you're viewing from. And I do appreciate the viewers very much, if I forget to say so. I enjoy meeting every one of you when you contact me, and I fail to say that enough. So I just want to put that in there. That's a very Libran thing. It's the hostess with the mostess, wanting to party. Now, it's also the new moon is opposite Chiron. And Chiron is a little bit like a Saturn energy. It's the wounded healer. So it's restrictive. So you've got this very social, lovely, I want to go out in nature, and I want to interior design something, or, opposite. And oppositions are the most stressful relationships between planets. Chiron, which is very restrictive. And you might have that sort of feeling like, well, and Mercury retrograde, so delays. You might have tickets to see a show that's outside, and at the last minute a storm pops up. That kind of, flow hiccup, flow, So it kind of is a very familiar message before with the full moon about being flexible, not being too rigid about, and I think spiritually on a deeper level, it's about our control issues. I have Mars in Virgos. That's often called a control freak, and I'm very aware of this in me. I've battled it a long time. We can go a little deeper with the twin flame journey, and those of us involved in this subject matter, I think, all share trauma bonds and trauma from childhood. And when you have had traumatic past things, you do develop a sense of security by feeling like you're in control. So it's not completely diabolical and driven by the ego, even though a lot of it is, but a lot of it is just out of natural self-preservation, that you've been wounded or hurt. You're trying to come up with a strategy, Libra, to protect yourself so you don't feel that way again. And so that can, play out in a lot of different ways. So that kind of went down a deep rabbit hole there. We don't need to get into childhood wounds just now, but the new moon opposite Chiron kind of takes us there.
Hmm.
Okay.
So, would you say that this is a time of reflecting also?
Yes, holding pattern,
Okay.
strategizing, thinking about what you want to do. And making plans is fun during Mercury retrograde. I honestly think that gets way over dramatized. We
Hmm.
live with this all our life, and you could live your whole life and never know Mercury goes retrograde 4 times a year.
Right.
Um, this is the subjectivity of astrology. It is an art form and a language and a way to describe things. It is nothing absolute. And we all have free will to do or not do what our soul was here to do. So, in the astrology chart, the idea of having the time of day and the place and where you were born is the idea that your soul chooses when you come in to a life path, who your
Hmm.
parents are, who your family's going to be. So, with that said, there's a whole lot of variables, right? So, not
Hmm.
everybody's going to come and live some strictly spiritual life and learn all their life lessons. I mean, it's only natural as human beings to make mistakes and learn things the hard way, or whatever.
After many lifetimes, right?
Right, we're human, we're having a human experience. So, one of the things that I think Libra energy should show us over the next several weeks is to be gentle with ourselves, to be patient with ourselves, be compassionate. And, Libra is a very lovely, kind of energy. I mean, it just wants everybody to get along. It wants fairness and balance. Interestingly enough, it does represent lawsuits and international law. And so oftentimes for things to come in balance, it takes some sort of um, opposition, which are things out of our control, to create a particular outcome for something that needs to be put in balance. Um, this also there's a lot of play in with Mars this month. So I think a big lesson about this month in general is handling frustration, because the energies feel like we're just burnt out. There's a certain amount of exhaustion that has to do with Mars, and I can go into he's um, squaring Pluto later in this month. Of course, we feel it. It's not on the exact day. It is the 24th, but we'll feel it a little before, a little after. And this is power plays. This is power struggles. This is personal relationships that, it could be globally, but it's definitely Mars and Pluto are fighting for control. Squares are what bring up stress between planets. So, uh, the way that plays out for us in our daily lives is feeling frustrated, feeling like you're just not getting anywhere, you're spinning your wheels. So it's an interesting mixture because Libra does want to just rest and relax. We want
Mhm.
our whatever your favorite refreshment is, in a nice scene somewhere where you're relaxing and just
Oh, I
taking.
know I want some of that this weekend. I'm,
Yeah, I
like,
tried to
burnt
decide.
out.
I don't know. A Scorpion's can be kind of extreme.
Yeah.
So when I say a vodka tonic would be good, I don't know. It might be ice water. So
I
there you
do have vodka in my closet, but,
do too. Yes, it's the clean liquor, right?
Yeah, I don't know, can't tell.
Oh my lord. Okay, so that's Mars and Jupiter twice this month, and Mars in play with this new moon. So, he is also very good for firing things up, and um, it's hard to say in a blanket statement how everyone's going to feel this energy. It really does depend on what it's aspecting in your personal chart and your progressions and what's going on. But in general, Mars gets things done. It can be combative. It can be argumentative. So Mars doesn't like to be in Libra, and it's holding hands with this new moon. So you've got this, everybody just play nice in the sandbox, right? Be quiet. And you got Mars pulling a sword out, wanting to fight somebody and take them to the ground. You know what I mean? And so then you have this sort of rub of energies like, so the way I think that we're supposed to learn from this energy is, how do we handle our frustrations? Do we overeat, overdrink, overwork? Usually frustration is one of the more difficult energies to, in a healthy way, assimilate. I think something really helpful is talking to a friend, just to share verbally. Sometimes when you hear your own voice and they didn't have the right darn watermelon at the grocery store, whatever it is, but sometimes just to hear yourself say something and then realize, how petty is that, or how, sometimes we just need to hear ourselves whine, right? And for it to connect that, we're really okay. It was just,
we'll get over it.
yeah, we could be, and so that's an interesting thing. The blind spot in the mind, frustration, burnout, exhaustion. October, a holding pattern, and combating frustration being a lesson. There's something here that I really like watching astrology in terms of historic cycles. So this month is a similar energy of patterns of energy between big planets like Pluto and Uranus that harken back to like 2012, 2015. So your viewers might want to maybe just spend some quiet time reflecting on what was going on in your life between 2012 and 2015.
Yeah, if we were alive.
Well, what the significance there is the connection between Pluto and Uranus. Pluto is the god of transformation. It is the phoenix rising from the ash. It destroys everything. It is the promise to rebuild better that which it destroys. Pluto is the death card in the tarot. So it's connected to Scorpio and the fascination with the life, death, life cycle in all things, people, plants, animals, right? So, and then take that back another little bit, and it harkens back to times of the 1960s, where civil rights and protests and a need for some sort of evolution to occur amongst large groups of people. So it's kind of interesting how what we've been seeing over the last almost 10 years are very slow moving aspects, which are relationships between planets of Pluto and Uranus. Uranus is the inventor and the innovator. He finds newer and better ways to do something that's old and worn out. It rules it rules. Don't go there.
Okay.
Okay. We're not talking about Mars anymore. Let's wait till we get to Scorpio next month.
I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna listen to you. Okay.
Just for a moment. We'll let you be bad in a moment. So now you're going to make me lose my train of thought. Hold on. Where was I? Pluto and Uranus. So Uranus, the inventor, but the really, really, really significant thing that excites a geeky astrologer like me about it is Uranus rules UFOs, aliens, science, paranormal, esoterics. And we are seeing in our lives an actual display of thoughts about other galaxies and other species. And I think that's so exciting because, I was born in the 60s, but not an astrologer and didn't have a clue what was going on. I was real young. But, as I met my teacher and have studied it for so long, you hear that, right? You hear about Uranus rules UFOs, Uranus
Mhm.
rules the space travel, time travel. Haven't you seen time travel in the headlines a little bit in the last year or so? And that series, the Outlander series, traveling
Mhm.
through the magical rocks in Ireland to another time. I mean, this is all like science fiction fantasy,
Mhm.
but it is really, it has an element of reality, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it's kind of interesting to see how these planets. I'm always fascinated by how do these ancient people come up with these representations? Because when you do follow cycles in the planets, you do see patterns unfold in society and humanity. So, and that's the other thing that Uranus rules is humanity. So, a big part of this new moon and the energies this month has a lot to do with what's your gift to humanity, right? With all the disruption, Pluto's destroying it. The god of destruction says, no, 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 no. This is also about moral standards and values.
Mhm.
Okay, so a lot of that's coming up where people
Mhm.
have different moral standards and values.
Mhm.
Um, so it's real interesting to me how, we're really doing what's happening in the heavens, so to speak. And that's exciting because it's including these odd things that we've loved and studied, and have felt, sort of, like, I don't know about
Out
you.
there, outer
Yeah, well,
space.
I called a witch, or, are you a good witch or a bad witch? It's like, what
Well,
the
we're in that month
yeah,
coming into the holiday season, so
right. And so this is a really interesting time to be alive. And the other element of astrology that I was taught is we do choose when we're born. Um, I believe that people in the metaphysics and who tune into shows like this and study esoterics are light workers. I believe that no matter what planet or galaxy we're from, we have come here to Earth at this time to bring light because there is a true to God, evil, Satan type of energy that has been a scourge in our society. And it's been glossed over, passed over. Just like, okay, if you want to take this down to personal relationships, we're all guilty of being in relationships as some sort of like obligation or like social expectation. This is what
mhm.
society expects of you, blah, blah, blah. And we're in an energy now where everything gets tossed to angle and turned around different angles to look at. Like Pluto is just going to like nuclear it, right? And then you've got dust, and then you have a powerful, glorious bird like the phoenix rising. So I think we're past the pile of ash
Mhm. Mhm.
and we are rising. We're not
Mhm.
there yet,
We're
but
not soared up. Yep.
right. And I do believe so. October being more of the holding pattern feeling, or, we're making adjustments from coming out of the busyness of harvest time. And then
Mhm.
as we get into Scorpio season, which is really about life and death and rebirth and regeneration,
Mhm.
um, and dark things, I think that it's just so interesting to watch what some of these outer planets that don't really ever have a whole lot to tell us in our personal lives every day or relationships. Um, and we're in about a 3-year period here where those outer planets are pretty much dictating what's happening in our world with Pluto, Uranus, and Saturn and Jupiter. So it's the spiritual awakening, as it's been called, the age of Aquarius. And I, again, like I said, I was like, it's very kind of all twisted up, like things don't seem like they're making any sense or really messed up. But if you've ever had to like declutter a home or organize something, you have to make a big mess before you can ever
Mhm.
clean it up. We've been through
Yeah.
a long time of pushing the mess under the rug.
Mhm.
And I believe the rug is being ripped off the floor, and we're being forced to see things we didn't want to deal with that we talked about for the full moon going through the 12th house and the anxiety closet. We're
Mhm.
still feeling that. These energies don't just stop, right? They just sort of mull and merge and, flow in. And depending on what's going on with you, will be determined where your focus is. But
Mhm.
it's definitely a new moon. Well, and the typical interpretation of new moon is, start a new project. And in Libra, and being ruled by Venus, this could be like, renovating something in your home to make it more beautiful, um, cosmetic surgery to make your body more beautiful, whatever beautifying. And I also wanted to mention something about Mars and the surgeon, because it always tickles me about how you said you got cut on your cuticle. So, so this new moon is opposing Chiron, and Chiron rules the bones and the structure, the teeth. Um, and Mars is the surgeon. So if someone came to me and said, I need a hip replacement, do you have an idea of like some windows of time when that might be better? And there certainly are. And you would never want to, like, this is so weird for me to say because I know in general people do not consult astrology for when they get surgery or cut on.
No,
Um,
I actually have
I do. I mean,
I have a viewer. Her masculine is actually in the hospital right now.
well, when my parents were going through a lot of health things and would need tests or surgery, I would schedule it with um, what Mars was doing or their charts. And I got more
Mhm.
grief from their doctors. You don't know how they dismissed me and, oh, she's crazy or this, that. I didn't care. I've seen
Mhm.
it work. And, just like getting x-rays during Mercury retrograde, that's a
Mhm.
classic example of something not being seen, right?
Right.
You went through
Mhm.
it, there's a blind spot somewhere. Could be in the machinery, could be in the eyes of the radiologist, could be on the film, who knows? But my point is, like, you wouldn't want to get surgery under a Mars opposition to Chiron. Um, it's not to say it wouldn't go fine if you did, but if you had to pick your optimal time for the quickest healing or recovery, and you know, it was always so refreshing when I could find a nurse, that really appreciated, that I was trying to do what was in the best interest of my mom or dad. So
Mhm.
you have to cut another part of this energy too is just get over what anybody thinks, right? We all need to find what is our soul's gift here in humanity at this time. Um, I'm really being careful on what I say because if I really rattled off what I've been researching and what I think, y'all would just like probably put me in a padded room. So I'm trying to be diplomatic, like Libra likes to be. Um,
You can
so
speak in symbols like how we know a
code.
certain
Well, in
thing
code,
is.
one of the things I was thinking too, as I was thinking of this new moon, you remember wasn't the wind talkers in World War II they were Indians who had a special language. They were called wind talkers, and they could break the codes of um, Germany. wind talkers. I don't hold me to that, but my point is kind of this energy is about being decoded. Like things have been in code for a long, 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 long time. I'd say
Mm-hmm.
70 years as a conservative estimate. So that's why also I kind of hesitate to get too far back in history because it really isn't relevant now, which is another lesson for this month of we have to stop living in the past. We have to somehow, tie up in a nice little package and bow the betrayals, the hurts, whatever anybody did to you anytime, whether it was a man or a woman or a parent or a sibling or a friend. This is very enlightening energy that we can purge through our chakra grid.
Mm-hmm.
That really dense negative depression and sadness and disappointment that does not create, that does not move us forward. It doesn't really serve you anymore. I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
everyone has to go through dark night of the soul,
Mm-hmm.
learning about their chakras and their energy and being a monitor of your own energy, and trusting. This is another phase we're working closer and closer towards is telepathic communication. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone's experienced this. I found it very, very, very unsettling. It's happened to me twice recently. Artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
So on your smartphone, which I'm about ready to throw in the river because it's too freaking smart. I don't like it. It's like, so I'm at a greenhouse and I buy this plant called a string of pearls. It's a cactus and it's kind of hard to find. And I found one. I was all excited, got it home. Oh, within hours through my recommended video feed was how to take care of a string of pearls plant. So
Now,
somehow,
did you do research on the string of pearls?
I think what I've determined, because today it happened by virtue of I'm at the grocery store and I bought 2 cans of pumpkin. It's my dog likes pumpkin,
Oh,
and
he was so spoiled. Look at that. No, we're gonna
it's
have to
really
talk
good
about
for them.
him later.
Pumpkin is good for their intestines. He eats
Okay,
bark
okay.
and stuff, I mean, But anyway, I was not on my computer a nano moment, and a recommended video came up: top 10 pumpkin desserts. Now, this is
So
what
you think that it's actually listening to you?
I think it's connected to our bank account and debit card.
Oh,
Okay. I think somehow they track what you spend money on, and
now
based
the
on
my
that, send
question
you,
is,
I don't know.
what
It's
what bank
disconcerting.
are you at a major bank?
I guess. Yeah. Yeah. It's not a community bank. Yeah.
That's
Union Bank.
that's the issue because those major
Very
banks,
disturbing.
guess. Well, I'm just gonna enlighten everyone here. Depending on what kind of bank you're at, guess who's in charge of those banks?
Oh,
The higher ups, right? The elitist groups. So they have access to all this information, and that's how they monitor you, and that's how this is the thing. It's about this is what another person told me because I used to be from the dirty South where the old money used to be, or it actually still is. This guy told me, he says, one thing
across
that,
the pond.
yeah, the one thing that he only cares about is human capital.
Right.
I'm like, oh, thanks. So we're slaves?
Well, so when we're talking about Uranus and all of these squares and trines and what it represents, I mean, Uranus would represent artificial intelligence,
Mm-hmm.
robotics, inventions, patents. And so we're really doing the energy, and it just blows my mind because we've not been here before. We're in somewhat uncharted waters. Um, I think that the more we can, I've been trying to take some of my own advice and do dream work, because I do think the more we can retrieve from the subconscious or memories to apply to the current daytime, could make it better. I do believe we're beyond the worst part, if that helps. And I
I
do,
think so too. I've seen the numbers, whether they're fictitious or not, who knows? But the thing that I can see is people walking around outside. I've noticed that more people are more
more
liberal.
traffic on the road.
Yeah, walking around. They're not really wearing masks.
Yeah.
It looks like, people are going back to normal.
Yeah.
And so it's just,
It's been an
I don't
interesting.
care about whatever other variants that they're putting out there. It's in, in some other country. They're just
You want to know what my
shifting.
theory is on the variants? Only
What?
because I've kind of witnessed it here in my own little corner of the world.
Mhm.
Um, 4 people that I know were put in the hospital for 2 weeks with pneumonia, and all 4 people were obsessed with keeping their face covered. And I think what they've created as variants or whatever are all, 10 months of staying covered up and not letting your immune system adapt to whatever it needs to adapt to in the environment has weakened the immune system.
Mhm.
Maybe some kind of bug your immune system would normally fight off, like a bad cold,
Mhm.
took a worse hit because you were already compromised.
Right.
I just think that a lot of this Uranus is going to like blow the lid off of a lot of things that have been under the rug. It's already started and it's very, very exciting. My concern, and again, just going by people I might read for or talk to in my little area,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, is people being open minded that things might not be what they thought it was. I worry about people's ability to, just listen, just open your mind.
Hear me out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just be still and just, you know, don't don't freak out.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but this,
Yeah,
I just want to say something.
yeah.
Use your own discernment.
And I do believe, I don't know. I sometimes think maybe part of my role being here is to say the thing nobody wants to say. I've done it all my life since I was a child, you
Me
know.
too, honey. I was always rebellious. I didn't care what mama said, and every time I was very stubborn. My mama's stubborn too, but I was always going against her. No means no. Okay,
Let me
like
go do this.
yeah.
Or
But over time, I've learned to succumb and say yes and be a yes person, because sometimes my dad told me this. He says, "Well, sometimes, if you're dealing with that kind of a personality, you just got to say yes."
yeah, yeah. It's like I said, I'm just fascinated by the times we're living in as an astrologer, an old astrologer.
Mhm.
These years are history making. We're making history. We are part of history. And,
Mhm.
spiritually speaking, we are returning to times of the Atlantis where people did use their minds to move their bodies and to communicate. Now, I know to a lot of people that might sound like way out there, but when you think about the technology that we're already engaged in heavily, hoverboards, for instance, you know, it just looks like a person moving through the air. It won't be long. We'll have a little George Jetson car in our briefcase, pop it up, a little helicopter over here. So we already have an amazing amount of technology. I think a lot's been hidden from us as the general public, but with the alignments of planets the way they've been beginning really probably towards the end of 2019. um, there's just a whole lot of things that aren't what we thought they were. in a lot of
Well,
things.
it's all for the higher people or people in certain positions that are money hungry and greedy, and they
Right.
feel entitled, abusing the legal system or whatnot to go over for their own benefit, and keeping everyone else in the dark. You
So it's
know.
kind of exciting, don't you think, to be a person who, we both feel pretty solid in what we believe. Now, we might
Mhm.
not, people might not agree with us, but I think in our hearts, we genuinely want the best for society and people,
Mhm.
that we're willing to admit that we have a long way to go to correct a lot of really horrible things that we've allowed just by being passive. Uranus aspects are not going to allow people to be passive. Mars oppositions are not passive. These are aggressive, energetic energies. And I think you mentioned something when we talked earlier, and I wanted to say that I can, you know, I feel the same way. So many ideas going around in the mind, about things to do or create, or, projects, and it's just a really creative time. And so when we are being introspective and, learning how to handle that frustration of Mars Chiron conjunct the new moon, and these outer planets slowly going direct from retrograde, that is a very, I get the image of an old freight train that they shoveled coal into the engine to keep it running, right?
Mhm.
So we're shoveling coal into our engine, right? And it takes a while for that coal to get good and hot to turn those turbines. Is that the right term? I don't
I
know.
don't know. I wanted to say
But
pistons. Who knows?
I know. I'm just thinking of that. It's slow
It's
burn.
a steam
Yeah,
engine.
right.
So
It
come
takes
I don't
time to
know.
build up, right? It's got to build, and then it sends it on down the track. And I believe that, especially this summer with all the outer planets retrograde, we tend to be a little more easygoing, and now we will feel, starting this month, distinct shifts in the energy through the end of the year. It's exciting. I guess
I
too.
kinda like this energy, like, I have so many ideas,
Yeah.
like, it's just, like, so many.
I want to keep writing down things, like,
Right, I wanna do it all. I'm like, I don't have enough time, I need to
no.
sleep,
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that a different feeling than you had a couple of months ago? I mean,
Yes, I love this energy. That's why I didn't know what it was. I knew it was an air energy, but I didn't know that it was a Libra, like, new moon that was coming up, and I was like, "Well, what is this?" We're just getting out of Virgo, like, Virgo takes too dang long, right?
and
So,
there's an
like
earth energy. So we're moving from a real earth sort of stubborn energy to
yeah.
air that wants to just be free and
Yeah, I
create.
was, like, going, like, "Do, do, do," like, "Oh my god," it's like
I was thinking of you because it was yesterday or earlier today. I just got all these ideas of things I want to do, projects
uh-huh.
and things, and I was thinking of you. I was like, "Well, I need a piece of paper. I need to write some of this stuff down because then I,
Mhm,
lose track of it." But very excited. I guess my main message, because I feel like we're all pretty freaked out about things going on.
mhm.
Where I live, there's some military activity. And so these are things I've never seen in my
Well,
life.
let me interject, like, how's the capital doing? Is there anything going on
Do
that
you know
planet?
what? Do you know what, Scorpio moon?
What's
I have
that?
not been in that area since before the riots last year. I've lived
Mhm,
here all my life, and I already know I don't think I can take what I would see. I'm heartbroken by the total lack of respect of property and rights for everybody involved. And
mhm,
um, so I don't know. I don't tune into local news at all. It's
mhm,
it's not there. That's a double. What's that? A double negative. It is corrupt.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
I don't know about other states. Our state has a governor election coming up first
Yeah,
week.
I just got a mailer too. I was like, "Oh, they this is good old, tax dollars, with these, little mailers that come in.
I got
Make
one
sure
of
you get
those.
this."
I tell you what,
I was about to say,
these are
"Where's my
crazy.
paper?"
There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I guess my main thing that I'm trying to be. I had a lady tell me today. I read for her back in June. She lives in Pennsylvania, and she called me and she said, I just remember talking to you and you were so calm. And I just really need your opinion about this. Okay. That's fine. I don't mind that at all. But I thought it was so funny that she called me because she remembered me as being calm. And this is something that I strive and struggle for daily. I'm like, "Rah!" And I try
Calm?
very
Like,
hard.
me?
Yeah.
Calm?
Sometimes it's like I walk around going, I am a pot of light. I am a pot of light. I am a pot of light. I had a boss one
Where's
time.
my bitch be gone spray?
I was going down the hallway. I was going, I am a pot of light. I was saying it out loud. I was so exasperated and just at my wits end. And he goes, a pot of light, because he had no clue what I was saying. But to me, that gives me a feeling of it is not the thing we see, right? There's a
Mhm.
big picture going on. And I feel like little by little, veils will be peeled back for us to see. This keeps coming to my brain, so I guess I need to say it. Sometimes when you get an intuitive feeling, you don't get anything else until you spit it out. But
Right.
I put off saying it because it's just not, it's just one of those things you don't want to say. But it's got to be said. So I've been researching some really strange things lately. Um, the Red Shoe Club, the Black Eye Club. But you know how I like mythology, and I'm always looking back at ancient Greece and Rome. And um, something took me to looking at architecture of Rome, ancient Rome.
Mhm.
And, like one of the big, I wouldn't think they called them court buildings back there, but one of the big, like administrative, what would it be? The guy's
Structure.
castle, or, like the town square where court is held and people get, I don't know. Okay. Important building.
Mhm, mhm.
And these are all over the world. And I would say to the viewers, start looking at the old buildings where you live. I think we can learn a lot from architecture and
Oh,
from
yeah.
historic
I've
architecture.
actually studied architecture, in my art class, like the
Yes,
history of art.
yes.
Yeah,
So
so
what I
yeah,
came
go ahead.
across was, and we're just going to have to see, if a few months from now we're remembering this. It's horrible, but I'm going to say it because this is what I mean about we all have to keep an open mind. We all have to learn to manage our frustration and hurt and anger and pain. And we don't have any more energy left for the old shit because there's new shit coming down the track that's going to blow our minds.
Mhm.
So in the
Alright, guys, get
architecture,
ready.
no, I'm telling, don't you feel it? I mean,
Look,
all
what
everybody's kind of saying that, there's something in
No
this
More Lies says, "I grew up in the hood. Those buildings are gone."
Well, good, because on this building that I saw were two priests holding a naked baby with a knife going to the baby.
No.
That is like ancient ritual religion. They would
You
have
seen that?
human sacrifices, and babies were commonly sacrificed in ancient times.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
I believe that there's really horrible things going on with children underground that are being exposed, that we are going to learn about, that are going to put a lot of people in jail, thankfully. And I believe that, light workers are here to help society process the fraud, because there's
Mhm.
been a horrible fraud perpetrated on just basic human beings by that elite sect of people that are, not in integrity. Let's say it that way.
Mhm.
So this is what I mean about now, I spend a lot of time researching. I am a research paralegal. That's what my career is and has.
Mhm.
So when I get on a thread of something, whether it be an artist, a piece of art, or an old antique, I love auctions and going and finding old things, and I'll find something, I have no clue what it is. A great example of that is a cranberry harvester. It was at an auction, and it looks like this wood box with these tiny little spindles and a
Mhm.
handle. Well, back in the day, they used it to harvest cranberries. Bet you didn't know that.
No.
My point being, I know that I do look into some really odd stuff,
Mhm.
but I follow my intuition, and my intuition has never let me down. It's only when I have ignored it that I screwed up. And so that's another part of the energy that we're in now is trust your intuition, trust your instinct. How many times do you grab your car keys to go on an errand and something in your mind is like, I need to da da da, and you ignore it
Mhm.
and you just keep bulldozing through your day, right?
Mhm.
And then later you realize that you're going to have to make another trip because you should have listened to what that little voice told you. And
Mhm.
these are the times we're in. I think a lot of us that are alone and haven't had any luck at all in love, much less bad luck. I'm down too. There's been no luck at all.
Is there a list? Is there a waiting list on that one? Because
Well, I have to find a rationale for why we go through the things we do. I mean, it can't just be for nothing. It can't just be because I just
I
don't
think
believe
it's
in
just the
random.
disappointment of having a relationship. You know what I mean? It's like you've tried, especially if you're a older
Yeah,
person, and you've been out there, and the market keeps getting slimmer and slimmer as you get older and older, and you're like, well, the heck with it. Just
yeah.
find by yourself.
And I think there's a purpose for that. I know I've had psychics in the past tell me that you spend time alone because if you were nesting with
Hmm.
someone, you wouldn't be doing that spiritual work or you wouldn't do that trip, right? I went to Europe
Hmm.
for a month by myself years ago, kind of coming out of a divorce and just wanting something new in my life. And
Hmm.
I wouldn't have done that if I'd stayed married. And it was a trip of a lifetime. I, to this day, can recall moments and times that were breathtaking and moments of a lifetime. And I was by myself with one knapsack, and I was pursuing Nicholas Culpeper, the 17th century physician and astrologer from Bath, England. I wanted
Hmm.
to go there and be around where he practiced and just be in that energy, and then over to the Greek islands where astrology began. So
Well,
um
I just wanted to interject too. Recently, I've been looking into a flight to Santorini,
oh,
Greece.
I'd love to go to Santorini. I didn't go there.
Yeah.
There.
And get this, like, the girl that, I did a personal reading for, she's actually with her twin, and they're getting married,
Oh,
and she got proposed in Santorini, and I was like, "Oh my god, I was just looking at that place 2 days ago, and she was there getting proposed to by her twin."
nice. Well, years ago they used to talk about this probably would have been in the 90s when Greece was still the currency was drachma, and it
Uh-huh.
was 4,000 drachma to every 1 US dollar. So US money went way, way far there. I'm down
Oh,
basically $600,
wow.
and I ate like a
Is that
crazy.
is that still today? Like, come on.
No, no. So, but what my point was, Santorini came up in my, you know, when they started talking about we should invest our money there because of the the exchange rate, and I never did. And so whenever I hear Santorini, I'm like, oh, that was my retirement fund that I
Well,
missed.
I wanted to retire over there because I saw like a round trip ticket just to be there for 2 days was a little over $1,000, guys. I was like,
Let
oh,
me tell you, I
I
thought you
would
were going to
go.
say something else. I have to
Go
tell you
ahead.
this story. There are some of the most beautiful men in the Greek islands I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my God, don't tell me.
And I just was, well, of course I was coming out of a divorce where my ex-husband had cheated on me. So, you know, I don't know. Well, it was nice being in another country and different culture. So
Yeah, getting that massage by a Greek man. Oh
I
my
didn't go
God.
there. No, no. But when you travel alone, you always meet people. And so
Hmm.
everywhere I went, I, would meet someone. And I met a woman from Sweden, Baden, Sweden. And that was significant to me because I had a brother who worked in Baden, Sweden on a work project. He worked here in the United States and then was sent to Baden for about 2 months and came back. And it was kind of interesting to hear about what he experienced culturally there. Like, and again, I don't know if this is still true. This has been 20 years ago. But like when you stop your car at a stoplight, you have to turn it off. You can't let it idle. And there was
What?
there was never a steak. He was so happy to get home to have like a big grilled steak. So I don't know if that's still true. And again, it's been more than 20 years ago. But my point is, let me tell you this story. I love this story. This was fun. Her name was Helena, and in Baden, Sweden, she was the equivalent of a social worker. And we actually were pen pals for years after that. We eventually dropped off, but we actually kept in touch. And she knew this area well because it was close by to where she lived, and she would she'd go to trips there, like going to the beach. And and again, guys, I was there in like 1991. I don't know if this applies anymore. So the tradition was that you go to a restaurant and eat your dinner, and there's no dessert or coffee there. You go to some little bakery or boutique bakery and you have your dessert and coffee.
Hmm.
And so Helena knew sort of off the beaten path places that tourists didn't go. And she took me to this little shop for our little after dinner treat or whatever and coffee. Now, my mom helped me study Greek for 8 or 9 months before I left. And there were cassette tapes. I'd listen to them in the car, right? I was really trying to learn the language. And I got there to that restaurant and I needed to go to the bathroom, and Helena went to get a table, and I come downstairs and this waiter is coming towards me, and he just took my breath. I mean, I didn't know what to say. He just whooshed up to me, and I went like this, and I went, I'm looking for my friend. And he says, I see your friend outside. He was very gruff. He had he had the long, he's the young Gino Vanelli, if you know who that is. The long black hair and the shirt down to here and the physique, I mean, he was just, woof. So, so he takes me outside to this table where she's sitting, and I just got all rattled. I couldn't remember how to order anything.
You're excited from that guy.
I just couldn't remember. And so I wanted something chocolate, and everything I tried to say, he'd go, we don't have that. We don't have that. He was very curt with me, right? So I finally said Bailey's. Now, I don't even like Bailey's coffee, but that's the only word we seem to have communicated together. So I ordered Bailey's. So he turns to Helena, and he gets all fuzzy and flirty and ooh. So he goes off, and I said, oh, Helena, why was he so rude to me? And he was so nice to you. And she goes, I don't know. Did something happen inside? And I described how I came down the steps, and he whooshed up to me, and he kind of took me by surprise. And out of reflex, showed the palms of my hands to him. And when I did that, it was like telling him to screw off. That was a naughty gesture, right?
Oh, is that
Good.
like a
Right,
cultural thing?
right. You don't expose the palms of your hands. And that's another story. But my point is,
Oh, shit.
so my
Like,
point is,
no.
she said, you should nod at your head. You just nod your head. Keep the palms to yourself. So believe it or
So
not,
next time when I should go, mm.
yeah. Mhm. So the next time that, so I get to the hotel. Now I stayed in what was supposed to have been the best hotel. No air conditioning, no TV. The mattress was a piece of foam about like this. It was a
Oh,
little
wow.
bunk. I paid extra to get the bathroom in my room because most rooms had to share a bathroom down the hall.
Oh,
Um, like you opened your window, you had one little desk, very bare bones, and it was the best place in CAS.
huh.
So I get back to my room that evening and I just cried myself to sleep because another one of the guests at this hotel had come in real drunk. She was American and they were giving her a hard time because she had gotten drunk and danced on the bar down the street. And I'm crying about, they hate Americans. We have no heritage. If they came over here and danced on our bars in the middle of the night, we'd probably judge them too. And I'm just having this whole sort of meltdown over, oh,
Cultural differences
I
and
know,
being
I know.
judged and like,
And so a group in this, there was an astrology conference over there was my point. So when I got there, there were like 40 other astrologers from all over the world. And 12 of us decided to take a boat to Patmos, which in the Bible is the island where St. John was exiled and believed to have seen visions of Christ and wrote
huh,
Revelations. Okay, that's the
huh.
significance of Patmos. It's the oldest still functioning ministry in the world. And the monks still wear all black with their beards, down.
Okay, yeah, yeah, hanging
Yeah.
all the way down, dragging on the floor.
So this English lady was going to, tour us over there. We rented this like hydro boat thing, and it was like a long ride. It was about 3 hours, and
Mm,
we were heading off to Patmos. And it was like you were heading off from the edge of the world because all it was smooth
water.
water and deserted islands. And Helena and I were like trying to play a game of what animal the islands look like. We get to Patmos, pull up to the dock, and the English lady goes, okay, meet us back here at such and such time. So those of us that wanted to go to the cave where St. John had been exiled had to get on a school bus. Women had to be completely covered. It was 110 degrees, no
Hmm.
humidity, which was good, but we had to be all covered up to go into the monastery. So I can't believe I'm telling this story, and I hope it's entertaining. So I get on this old school bus, and you go up this rocky mountain, and you see all these rusted out wrecks over the edge. And it was I was a little unnerved at that point. And so we get to the top of the mountain, and the monks are, mulling around, and you get led to this staircase that goes down into the earth. And this is the cave.
Mhm.
And I tell you, I got down in that cave, and it was a very mystical feeling. I felt like something different was here. They said, and who knows if this is true, but they said that this indentation in the cave wall is where he slept. And people were just sitting quietly. You could put a coin in this dish and like light an incense, like say a prayer or whatever you wanted to do. One lady was kind of doing some kind of Egyptian dance. I don't know, but everybody was quiet. You didn't say a word. You just sat there. I don't know. It was weird. Not weird in a bad way. It was mystical. It felt different. It felt like something profound had happened there. The
Mhm.
energy there was glowy, if that makes any sense to you at all. It was weird, good weird.
And
Um,
it's on a freaking island that you can only get onto from a little boat.
yes, at the top of a mountain. The oldest monastery still functioning. This monastery is like, I don't know how many thousands of years old it is. So we get out through there, and there were like three little shops, and I felt something profound had happened to me. I felt really good, and I
Mhm.
wanted something to remember this place. And so I got this little, maybe I'll dig it out next time we see each other. It was a little silver ring. It was in English money, $6. And got back on the bus, got back to the little docking area, and there was a place where you could have a refreshment. And again, there was this beautiful waiter.
I wanna
I
see
swear
these
to God,
waiters.
he was beautiful. And I was just sitting there, and I just watched him go from table to table. I just wanted to watch. And so I wish I could remember her name. If I thought about it, I could. The English lady that was our guide, she
Mhm.
caught me. And she comes over to me. She goes, "He won't look so good after tourist season." I was in there in May, like the beginning of the tourist season. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, that was a profound experience. We get back on the boat, we get back to the hotel, and my ring is gone from my finger.
Oh, no.
This was the third day into a 30-day trip. Um, and that I've always kind of practiced Buddhist sort of things. And one of the things about detachment is
To
you
let
have to
go.
detach from some things. You just have to, it's just polarity, energy. And so I was like, well, I can't obsess over this because I'm way, way far from home for a month. I've lost the ring. So, and I'd asked the guy at the desk at the hotel. And I mean, I was just like, oh gosh, I'll never get back to Patmos. And just had to accept it. And it was kind of a little bit of a psychological thing, to get through, forget about the ring.
Yeah.
And
No,
so,
I get it.
well, yeah, I mean, it was such a profound experience that I had. I had
Mhm.
gone there from depression of a divorce. I was looking for inspiration and to feel better and to figure
Right,
out why
purpose in life
I've gone through
and
that, right? So
right.
that was going to that cave and sitting quietly felt very healing to me. And
Mhm.
so I go through my trip. I had one carry-on little bag and a tote bag. I never checked luggage. I am a very conservative traveler. So my point is that I was in and out of that tote bag for another 20 days or so. I stayed in London, England. I traveled to Bath and Stonehenge. I was in and out of that bag every day for another
Mhm.
couple of weeks, right?
Mhm.
So, an old woman who used to travel a lot taught me a long time ago that when you travel, take your oldest, rattiest underwear. So, your last night, wherever you are, just leave them in the trash and you'll have room for your souvenirs and things you've bought, which is what I did in London. I stayed at the Hilton, no, not the Hilton, Hyde Park. Hyde Park. That's where I
Uh-huh.
was. And I dumped all my old t shirts and underwear and socks and anything I had worn for the last month in the trash. And I filled it up. I had bought artwork and t shirts and all kinds of little crap. And so I make the long trip back to customs here in the States. And then I had another bit of a ways to go to get home. My mother was alive at the time. She met me at the airport,
Mhm.
and I had moved home with her after my divorce, and we go home, and I was at that time about 30 years old, and I was living in the bedroom where I had grown up like a 10-year-old girl, so I felt pretty
Right.
demoralized, right? And so I put my suitcase up on the bed, and I go to undo it because I had bought some things for my mom, and sitting right on top was that ring.
On top of what?
The clothes that were in my tote bag.
What the heck?
I call it my magic ring from Patmos,
Huh.
and I'm serious. And to me, that is a lesson in energy, right?
Mhm.
You have to detach. The more you want something, you are just pushing it away.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that trip, I'm talking about all these years later. I mean, that was a real turning point as an astrologer, right? I
Mhm.
always felt somewhat like I had to hide because people would judge me. You're a witch. You believe in the devil. No, I'm a Christian and I love God and I love astrology, and I've even done workshops on astrology in the Bible because people seem to think it's a terrible thing when really there's a lot of positive astrology in the Bible as well. And
Mhm.
I mean, so it's just whatever people choose to believe, the narrative or whatever. And
Mhm.
so it changed me, and I after that really went full speed as a professional astrologer, and traveled a lot and talked, did conferences and things like that. So yeah, yeah, good looking men in Greece. I don't know where I don't know how we got to this story.
Well,
Okay,
we
okay,
were
okay,
talking about Mercury.
I do know. So we're talking about, remember earlier we were talking about Jupiter is involved with all this mixture of Mars, Chiron, the sun and the moon, and
Uh-huh.
Jupiter's has trines. Trines are like the universe's lady luck. And to Jupiter, Jupiter is about foreign cultures, foreign lands, foreign people, foreign travel, higher education. I went to where the first school of astrology began.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, that's, I guess, why we're talking about it. That's a great example of how a trine to Jupiter would play out in somebody's chart. You would learn something about a foreign culture or travel, or somebody foreign comes into your life here or whatever. But
Mhm.
yeah, so it's a really exciting time to expand on things that maybe you never really wanted to admit you wanted to check into.
Mhm.
I
No,
think there's
that
probably
all
a lot of
sounds really
people.
good. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people are really freaked out about tarot cards, right? And
Well,
it's
not so much these days. I think a lot more are open to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean about if there's something that you've wanted to do and putting it off, this time of year, this fall, October through the end of the year, is a really great time to, make a plan to pursue
Mhm.
it. A few years,
Sounds good.
yeah, yeah, and I, the mind is just popping. It's just, how long have we been on here? Anyway, so there's another
Hour,
story
17
about
minutes.
Uranus that just came to my mind about that. And again, it's one of those kind of on the fringe subjects. So maybe I won't go there. But,
Yeah. Well, we could talk about amongst ourselves. It'll
yeah.
be all right. If it's too kind of out there, you know.
Well, Uranus rules firearms.
Oh,
And,
okay.
one of the things on my list is I took some firearms safety classes like 3 or 4 years ago,
Mhm.
but that's not enough. You need to stay educated and you need to stay skilled. So anything you want to do, like aerobics or dance or art, any kind of artistic expression. Um, I don't know why I keep associating going to a firing range. Oh, here, maybe you're a golf range. That would be if someone's offended by firearms, going to a golf range and whacking golf balls, anything to move the energy of frustration, right?
Mhm.
So anytime you can, I used to have a monk tell me, break a sweat every day, move the energy, clear your chakra grid. Don't stay in that funk mulling over and over, what should I have done? What could I do? Just just try to,
So kind of like with this new moon energy, don't stay at home. Go outside if you can.
yes,
Enjoy yourself. Don't be in a funk. Okay, get over it.
yeah,
Like, move on.
write about it.
Make
If
a
you're in a
plan.
funk, write down how you feel. Write
Yeah,
down,
and burn it up on the new moon. How's that?
yeah. One of the processes I have done plenty of times is anything that I regret. Like, what is regret? I mean, that's a pretty self-destructive energy, isn't it? We need to let go of that.
Mm-hmm.
In the moment of whenever decisions were made, we trust ourselves enough to believe we made the decision that was best for us at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why would we question that? So I
Right.
think we're in energies of really getting very secure with our own intuition. And no
Mm-hmm.
matter how bizarro the thought that comes to your mind, it's probably right on point.
Right.
And
Don't discredit, like,
right,
your intuition,
right,
you know.
right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that sounds good. I
Well,
like
it's a
it.
really exciting times, and we're making history, and but I think the biggest message for this new moon, and with the energies leading us into the remainder of the year, is we are not our stories, right?
Mhm.
All of the things that haven't worked out, or people that hurt us, or all these perceived attacks, or whatever you think they are, karma, okay, whatever you
Mhm.
want to call it. Really ask yourself, how does that serve me to keep, you know, putting that forward?
Mhm.
Um, we're all guilty of it, and it's taking like a really conscientious mind to it. Like if you're talking to someone and you're tempted to like want to bring up, oh yeah, I remember that, and it's something negative.
Mhm.
Well, try to stop yourself, even if it's an awkward pause where nobody's saying anything. I had an old friend tell me one time, people are so uncomfortable with silence, like just sitting together and being silent. Like people feel like they've got to fill up the air, and that comes out of fear. So I like to try to practice just be quiet. Let people talk and believe and say and do whatever they feel. And, you know, like my lesson and what I need to learn is just to listen. Just, I can be very opinionated and hard headed. And I've been trying to be aware of that and just listen to people, and instead of making any kind of judgment, or, um, just really try to maybe draw on something you've been to similar to glean the wisdom from that.
Mhm.
I think in the twin flame journey, one example of that would be, and probably one of the most common questions I get asked is, um, should one or the other person reach out to somebody? And I think all of us probably have and gotten shot down more than once or twice. So it's not a great feeling. And it comes to a point where, are you doing something really hurtful to yourself?
Mhm.
Was that movie, He's Just Not That Into You? I mean, at some point, if somebody's interested, or gonna, respond to you, they're gonna show you. And if they're not, then they're doing other things, and there's nothing you can do about it. And so I think that this is where we have to learn how to develop that energy that we want to focus there, in a relationship, and it's not um, going the same way. That's when we have to nurture these other interests and goals. And I think I said it under the full moon energy. We need to be the lover that we want to have in our life. If
Mhm.
you want someone that is kind and loyal and honest, then we have to live our lives that way. And that's hard. And it gets harder the more and more distance people have with, oh, you know, politically what's going on. So, um, yeah, you know, we're in this weird time when we used to be able to talk about things and just agree we might disagree. And now, my lands, you get your head bit off if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person.
Yeah, there's so many differences of opinions and difference of what people's mindsets are and what they've
That's
come to know. And
that's the Pluto destruction. So that's
mhm,
Pluto destroying social values. Okay. And always, here's the thing to remember when if you ever feel discouraged or upset about that, Pluto promises to always rebuild better that which it destroys. It's a given. That's one of the universal laws. The thing about this Jupiter, too, is our faith. You have to
mhm,
have the faith to
mhm,
believe that if the universe, God, who you worship, is taking something away from you, you
mhm.
have to believe somewhere deep down inside it's okay.
Yeah, something better is coming. What came to my mind was the tower moment and the tarot,
Yeah.
where you built up something on a faulty foundation. It wasn't meant to last. Let it go. Okay, it wasn't meant to last, because Pluto's coming in destroying it so that they would build something better, right?
And maybe
And
find the fascination in the regeneration of that. Maybe
mhm,
finding the fascination in, well, if that got destroyed, there must be something better to replace it, because
mhm.
you usually don't go from, well, although that saying, what is it? Jump from the frying pan to the fire. What's that saying? I mean, sometimes there's times when you probably shouldn't have made that.
Mhm. No,
You know,
I
we
think I know
probably
what you're
ignored
talking
our
about.
intuition.
What was that?
Yeah.
And that's to be expected with the Mercury retrograde being mixed into this
Yes.
new moon energy. So it's kind of hard to use your discernment in some cases. It's like, well, is that my intuition or
Right.
what's going on?
And what I've always believed about that is your first voice.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that first voice is just out of your comfort zone. And that's where we want to be. We always
Mm-hmm.
want to push out of our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
We're incredibly organic, creative human beings. We are not meant to just be stagnant, depressed, unfulfilled. I mean, we are
Mm-hmm.
here to create, to love, to bring light,
Mm-hmm.
um, to build up each other, not tear down. So we're in incredibly revolutionary times, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of tools out there, both spiritually and practically, to help us navigate. And I've just been real excited about all the popping kind of feeling, like, wow, what are they going to say today? Or, wow, what's going to happen today? Or, you know,
Yeah, it's been one of those weeks this whole week. I
yeah,
don't know, it's just like it's been balls to the wall for me every day. I've only had like
heard
maybe
that expression
4
a long.
hours of yeah, 4 hours of sleep maybe this whole week.
But
That
your
is
adrenaline, I mean, it almost, it feels like an adrenal kind
it
of.
is, and I lost weight too, and I'm like, "What the heck is this? I should have been doing this the whole summer."
Well, we're riding the wave of whatever the energy is providing. And, I think that's when we find happiness, when we just learn to slow down,
Mhm.
listen to our intuition as to what we should be doing or what direction we should be going in, and trusting that. And I think where we all get hung up is we get some bizarre idea and don't trust that that's our intuition, and that's okay too. I mean, you go through life with those different decisions, and then you get the opportunity to have the same scenario, different people, and change the pattern, or
Mhm.
not.
I
it's
mean, that goes in alignment with what we were talking about before we went live. You know, when I was telling you I have like this dream of buying a house, and I was thinking like, should I buy a home in Washington or should I buy a home, back on the East Coast? And I've been looking, guys. I've been looking, and then today I got a clear, intuitive, you know, hit that I should find a house here, and the house is out of my range, like monetary wise. And I'm like, really? Can I have that house? Like, and I feel it's a yes. Like, I don't know. There's just something about it. I did not think that, I don't know. I didn't
Well, when we use our
plan for it.
creativity and we're cognizant of the vibration of energy that we're carrying, we become abundant just by that. The universe
Well,
is
just looking at the house, I was feeling abundant. I was
right.
like,
Exactly. Oh, that's a great thing I wanted to bring up because of the energies that I was looking at. There's
mhm,
a abundance kind of exercise. I don't have my wallet with me, but basically, carry in your wallet, like some extra money, like hidden away, and you see it, when you go into your wallet. So you never feel lack, right? You see that
mhm,
extra money, you get that little feeling like, oh, I got my little emergency money there.
okay.
Or I'll email that to you. You can share it with your viewers. It's a list of things, of thought patterns like um, my bills are certificates of achievement. Every time you pay a bill, you thank God of the universe that I had the ability to pay. It's the whole
Mhm.
sort of mindset of, um, and on the new moon, this is why I wanted to bring this up. Thank you for saying that because it wasn't in my notes and I was going to forget. So on the new moon, within 24 hours of it, which I think on the West Coast, it's about 4 in the morning on the 6th. And then that would be 3 hours later on the East Coast. And then the rest of the world, calculate for your time zone. So within 24 hours of the new moon, um, and in today's digital world, I'm not sure how to translate this exercise, but if you have an old fashioned check, you make a check payable to yourself. And wherever you register that check, you put law of abundance. And the
Let me
idea,
write this down because I'm gonna write that check today. Like
you write it within 24 hours of the new moon.
24 hours, okay.
Uh-huh. And that's on the 6th, next Wednesday. And you just write yourself. I mean, I still have checks. I know a lot of people don't even have checks. I have to think about how you translate this exercise
You
digitally.
could you could print out a check on the internet. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure they
yeah,
have pictures of a blank check.
there you go.
Mhm.
And you write it out to yourself.
Okay.
And
K2.
then wherever you register your payments or keep track, you're just putting law of abundance
Mhm.
and forget it. Just forget it. Okay. You've paid yourself first, which is the first rule of abundance. Second rule would be we are all abundant. We wish abundance for our friends and family. You are
Mhm.
not depriving someone else of abundance by being abundant. There's been that sort of jacked up connection with spirituality that you got to be a pauper with nothing to be spiritual. That somehow got written into social mores. The universe is abundant. Whether or not you're abundant is completely up to you as a mindset and patterns. Like, I was reading this thing um, about abundance that, if you came up with parents, which I came up with parents who always struggled to have money, everything was a struggle, and so I mean, I've gotten patterned that way. Well, it was always a struggle for them, and I have struggled.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I mean, spirituality has helped me um, free up some of the negativity
Well,
associated.
that's because money is attached to a low vibrational frequency,
Right.
you know. Mhm.
It's a fine line, and but that is an exercise to do on every new moon, and it really is more of just mental exercise of be open. You know, gosh, we need to just have a sign for the month. Be open. You know, allow your mind to journey crazy ideas or projects or things you don't think you can have. You can.
You
You
just
can.
gave me an idea to put into this new project that I've been working on. Should I show it to the collective because it's not ready for sale?
No,
No, don't
keep
show
it
it.
to yourself
Okay.
to build all that energy. And then when you're ready to come out with it,
Yeah, because I'm still waiting on a few items
yeah,
to
you must
put it together.
curious.
Yeah.
You'll be mysterious. You'll be Scorpio moon, the mystery.
It's gonna be amazing, guys. I've created something
Oh,
beautiful for you all, and yeah, you're
yeah.
gonna love it.
Well, that's another manifesting rule. If you want to have rules, you don't share it. You keep the energy to yourself until you have completed that thing, thought, item, you know, that if we get too disseminated energetically, unfortunately, there's plenty of people that don't want to see other people thrive,
Mm-hmm.
right? That low vibe stuff, you know, they love you when you're down, you know, hate you when you win. I used to show dogs. Oh
Isn't
my
that our twin
God, loved you when
flames?
you lost. You know, you were their best friend when you were a loser, but you start winning and nobody wants to speak to you. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just something in the ego, in being human, and just that's just something about being human, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, when you want to try to, you know, expand spiritually and have a dynamic experience here on Earth, that it's the world is your oyster. You know, you can do it. It's just believing you can, and not being scared like the fool card. You know, being scared to walk off the cliff. I have a sign here on my wall that a nurse practitioner gave me when my brother died, and I was just really bleh. And it says, "When you've come to the end, when you come to the edge of all the light you know, and are about to step off into the darkness of the unknown." Um, Faith is knowing that one of two things will happen. There will be something solid on which to stand, or you will be taught to fly. I'm sorry, I kind of messed that up. But my point is, you know, if you have a project or a thing or an item that you think is out of your reach, you know, the fool walks off the cliff with the faith knowing he's either going to land on something solid or he's going to fly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've all had those walk the plank moments. You know, I know in my career, there's been a few really horrendous times of walking off the cliff and not having a clue where my next paycheck or meal was going to come from. But I also have a real deep faith in this world and the
You
magic
know
of
what?
the
I
earth.
actually did that. Many years ago, I worked for a corporation. I had a 401k. I got paid
Raw,
pretty dang
raw.
good.
Right.
Yes, I had health benefits, everything,
Yeah.
and I gave it up to go to just have my own business.
Yeah. I've done the same thing and I
Yeah.
don't regret any of it. It's
I don't regret it either because it's actually helped me, up to this day where I didn't have to be codependent on a company
or just
to
the creativity of figuring out, you know, what's your service, who's your market, how you going to maintain it, how you going to, you know, do what you need to do.
Mhm.
It's incredibly creative, and I think that's also been an energy really for a couple of years as the planets line up this spiritual awakening on the earth of people becoming more spiritual. Um, you know, that is been happening a lot where people, I walked away from a huge salary and benefits to a much more low-key situation, and it's
Mhm.
okay. I
Mhm.
didn't the money is not worth the corruption.
Well, I remember that because I was
Where
there
I
with you
was
around that
anyway.
time.
Yeah, right, I mean, it was dirty money,
Yeah.
dirty money.
And plus it didn't make you feel good.
Oh, it's horrible. But,
Mhm.
that was a big lesson for me because I had attained something that I thought I always wanted, got there, and I was like, no, this is not right. What was I thinking? I was thinking with my ego. I
Mhm. It was
wanted,
the prestige of working in a company
and
like that.
having the money to have the material things or whatever. And now I'm just trying to purge material things and get frustrated that I have so many material things. you know, oh my lands, oh my lands. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of the this we're in kind of this in between time for October, and I guess my main message to anyone out there that feels a little trepidatious or maybe battling some feelings of fear. Fear is how we cover up anger. So, doing a meditation on what are you really angry about? So, when it
Mhm.
comes to financial well being or your home, it's usually I'm scared to be homeless or I'm scared to not have money. When you get down to what are you angry about, it usually comes out as something real vulnerable that you just don't want to deal with. But once you deal with it, you realize it's not the boogeyman and you're okay and it's going to be okay. And,
Mhm.
and it is going to be more than okay. I would like to impart that. These are wonderfully magical times to be alive. And all of us that chose to be here at this time have a very special connection to each other. And so hold on to that. If you're feeling lonely or isolated, just know that there's all of us light workers out here and we are connected by just the thought of your mind. Just get your mind quiet and reach out to the light and you'll be connected with love and a sense of well-being. And I don't mean to sound all preachery, but that came out kind of preachery, didn't it? I'm sorry.
Sounded good to me.
I feel good. I have a little James Brown spirit come in here, right? I
I
feel
haven't heard one of them songs in
good.
a while. Mhm.
I think it was the 80s when the facsimile machine was invented, the fax machine.
Oh,
And
yeah, the fact.
okay, so the very first ones had this thermal paper, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
We had a local radio station do this thing about fax in your song request because everybody was fascinated by this new piece of equipment in an office. It sounds so stupid now because we just take all this stuff for granted. But technology, when you really look at it, has evolved so fast and will continue
Yeah,
to.
I was about to say it really kind of started with your generation, maybe, or even in
Mhm.
my generation, where
Well,
there
me,
was the first computer, the first video console.
right.
Even
Mr.
with music,
Accent.
it evolved from the record player to the 8-track to, a CD, DVD player, and all this other stuff. We've
Yeah.
seen it all in such a short period of time in one.
Well,
I
we
don't
used to
know.
fax in our song requests every day. We did it for weeks. And the song was always I Feel Good by James Brown.
Uh-huh.
And on that note of technology, if you want to track some, again, historic cycles in astrology, but the last time we had this kind of energetic aspecting to the planet Uranus was the Industrial Revolution. So this is big. This is big changing for the earth and society. And what we have to do is keep our vibration high.
Mhm.
When you're feeling low, reach to the light. Just close your eyes and envision beautiful light all around you and in you and around you. If you're around somebody that you have to be around and don't want to be, just have that presence of light around you And, I think one of the hardest things to do is wish abundance and light for someone that has hurt you. In my family, I feel like I've been betrayed by different members. And that's a horrible feeling because, our society seems to dictate family is everything and you live, die, and breathe for them. And,
Mhm.
I've had some of the really violent alcoholic brothers that I don't want to be around and they're not good for me. So they're not around me. And so that contradiction of, my Cancer moon just wants family and home, that's very important. And then I have the height of dysfunction in two brothers and that I am never have anything to do with. So
Mhm.
that contradictory kind of stuff. But I will tell you that over all the years of being estranged and everything, I send them light. I wish them best. We're all just trying to be here to do the best we can.
Mhm.
And everybody makes different decisions about how spiritual they want to be and practice in their life and whether they do meditate or not. Um, and these are all things that really don't have a right or wrong answer. They're just different ways you can do your energy. I think people that would tune into our talk are definitely spiritual people that want to be the best version of who they are. And
Mhm.
we do that by purging out maybe unpleasant things about ourselves or things we've done or judgments we've made.
Mhm.
And you learn by doing that, right? When you judge someone for something they've done, 9 times out of 10, you'll find yourself in the same damn position. you know,
Right.
you gotta, what's that called? Self-fulfilling prophecy or something.
Yeah.
You have to, this is another point that I wanted to make with the energies that we're in. And there's just such a mixture and it's wonderfully variable, but we have to really, be very honest with ourselves, and be accountable for anything that we've done right or wrong. You know, just be okay because you can't redo anything from the past and you can't change people. Um, you can't change what someone's going to do. It's like we all do what we want to do. And so if you want to do something, you'll find a way. You'll find a way to get that house and be comfortable. And you just, and if it's not that one, it's a better one. We just have to trust that if we stay authentic to ourselves and have a vibration that we're tuned into to listen to, and we're
Mhm.
going through our day and we're interacting with people. If you divert from that quiet place is usually when we get somewhere we don't want to be or messed up in some drama. So when you've had real life drama, you just can't handle the superficial drama. Right?
Yeah, well, at that point, you
It's
just
like,
check out and just turn off everything and, and get your composure back.
right. And just let people be. One of my affirmations is I let's see, wish radical emotional amnesty for everyone. I mean, we are our own worst enemies most of the time. Any project or person, that you want in your life, it's like we probably do more harm with our own thoughts, overthinking, and, just constantly questioning ourselves, right? So
Mhm.
this is a good time, you know, get good with your soul, so to speak. It's like if there's it's real hard to heal when you remain in a toxic situation, or it's real hard when you stay around the people or places that are creating your disease. So that can mean sometimes finding a new job or finding a new place to live, or these are major life events. And
Mhm.
everybody's different with how aggressive they are to move on down their path. I just got a vision of that Wizard of Oz on the yellow brick road. We're on a journey. I had a friend write a book about the Wizard of Oz movie from the perspective that each character was a part of our self, of our ego. And she wrote it as if Dorothy was journeying through her own fears, wants, And so when you look at it that way, what good does it do to look over our shoulder? I mean, we all do that, and I just think that's part of the ego's trick to keep us held back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's kind of a common pattern of dark energies that don't want light energies to expand. And I think a lot of tricks will be played, whether it's your own ego on yourself or in some sort of exterior situation. But we have to stay, I keep coming up with sovereign. We have to stay. And if you're kind of confused about who you are or what you're supposed to be here to do, all the more reason to be still, and don't be influenced by what a relative says or a friend says. We all have to come to these decisions right here with us and ourself. Me, myself, I, and I think that's really hard sometimes with some decisions because you just want somebody to tell you how to get it done and do it. And when you have to just sit and figure it out, there's growth there. It's wonderful. And so, yeah, but it doesn't come without, some tears maybe, and that's okay too. I get so sad when I hear somebody say, I had a woman tell me she can never cry. And she's had some of the most horrible things happen to her in her life. And it's just numbed her. And my mother and I used to always call ourselves crybabies. We'll cry at a sad dog commercial. I have to turn those off, right? So everybody's different with how they handle their emotions. It could be where their moon is and the aspects to their moon. That's what rules emotional bodies and how we respond. So, there's just we're in very complex times, I'd say.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But it's exciting. More than ever in my life, I've had this feeling of, yes, we choose when we come here. And I really think that when you accept that, it becomes exciting because then the challenges or the darkness doesn't seem as daunting, right? Because somewhere down deep in your soul, you chose to be here at this time. And you have all the tools we need, right? We have all the tools we need to do whatever we need to do here. It's just we get egotistical about, I want this, I need that. I want, I need, I want, I need, And so, as soon as that thought starts out with it, it's not coming from your heart, right? It's coming.
It's coming from lack, so the way to do it is you already have, I have this,
Right.
I have that. So it's very similar to the abundant
Yes.
situation. Is like, I have this, I paid myself, I'm good.
Yes. And I also think another part of the energies that are going to get more intense as we get closer towards the end of the month is more about shape shifting and walk-ins, more esoteric subjects, right?
Oh, I think Shabaka could benefit from that talk.
I think I saw a walk-in recently. I swear to God.
Oh,
I'm
I think we should
still
have
trying to
another.
was that like a walk-in? I don't know, I
No,
don't know.
seriously, she actually asked me about that specifically. Maybe you could,
Oh,
guys get together with that one, but yeah, Shabaka's laughing.
yeah.
Yeah, she told
Email
me
me
about her
the
experience.
website, and we can certainly have an exchange.
Yeah,
Sylvia Brown,
Shabaka, if you're interested in knowing about this, maybe you could get with Sunny and you can contact her. Is it lionmountainhealing@gmail.com, right?
yes. And Sylvia
Okay.
Brown did quite a bit of research work on walk ins and this subject. I know another psychic who has the theory of if your twin flame in the human vessel that you see it or felt it or met the person and they choose to do something else and they don't want to do a spiritual journey, that a walk in can replace them.
Mhm.
I don't know how I feel about that, but I have heard that as a theory. Uh,
Well,
I
my
noticed,
thing is that is it like a energy, like so the spirit actually
that
like jumps into another body?
that's what she was. That was her theory. Yes,
That's funny. Like,
yes. And I just saw a bike rider almost like come out of what looked like a fog, and it wasn't foggy, and ride around. And then I went looking for where they went, and they were gone. I didn't
mm.
go looking for where they went, but it was like I'm just like on a street.
You know
One
what?
minute they were
I
there out
think
of
that's on the
nowhere.
East Coast. I seen that stuff on the East Coast. Over here I haven't, but that
We're
yeah.
near we're near the Edgar Casey Center
Mhm.
along the East Coast beach, and there's been hundreds of lottery winners. And there is something about the Virginia Beach, Virginia East Coast area, and some sort of energetic portal. Edgar Casey was a fascinating psychic, and he has ARE is a center there where he lived. I don't know so much what's going on with it now. Long time ago, you could be a member and check out like his readings at like a library. They were on cassettes. So in the old fashioned days, you'd go to the card catalog and look up a subject, like a spiritual subject. Like I think I looked up forgiveness, and
Mhm.
then it will give you all of the readings that he did on that subject. And he was very much like Nicholas Culpeper connecting, and Louise Hayes, connecting your emotional body, and that your physical body gives you the symptoms of what's going on emotionally. And again, fascinating work. And so, yeah, we have to maybe, I have to maybe re up on studying Edgar Casey a little more for him to come up as a subject here, because he certainly was a prophet before his time. He
Mhm.
lived as a pauper. He was a very, very, very interesting man. So yeah, him and Sylvia Brown both did some work on walk-ins.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm
No, yeah,
jabberjawing.
I think that that could be reserved for another session, but yeah, I know specifically one person could benefit from that in this chat, so
All right. Well, if
yeah.
one person benefits, we are successful. I think I've had this prevailing, I'm Cancer's moon and Venus in the ninth house.
Mhm.
I've always been a counselor on some level. I've
Mhm.
always been spiritual.
Mhm.
And Cancer, Moon, and Venus is the Earth Mother. I've always nurtured anybody around me. I want to nurture people. I have to stop myself from being too nurturing.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
um, so that's what we have to, that's what I felt like, was this maternal sort of feeling. Like I've been worried that people are really struggling through this energy. And my main message about this energy this week, going into the weekend, the next, really through the end of October, is just don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get rattled.
Yeah,
Find
just,
your sense of humor. If you hear something really bizarro, what is that saying? Something about bigger than life. And I was just thinking, in stillness, we find our true self. So if we're scared, if something provoked us into a flight, fright sort of reaction, to be able to just sit still and recognize, what are you feeling? Like your toes tingling or your fingers cramping, whatever. Just take an inventory of how you physically feel, and it will bring you right into where your energy is. And then picture light all around you. And whoever the person's provoking you, picture light around them too. We are all connected, and we forget this. The ego wants us to forget that. And
mm-hmm.
it's the one solid truth that will give us a fulfillment in life. Don't you think you go through periods in life where sometimes you're more excited to wake up and get going in your day than other times? Like you can go
Mm-hmm.
through something and just drag around, or you can go through a period where, like lately, it's like just very motivated. I have a lot, we have a lot of ideas. Create, create, create. I mean, that came in with our full moon a few weeks ago, and it continues. And I do think it's very therapeutic that if you're depressed or feeling scared or confused, and we all are, it's a big what goulash, it's a big big vegetable soup we're living in here. You never know what you might find in the soup. um but just know that there's so much more to it, and to connect to the light, and just remember we're all connected by the light. It's
Mm-hmm.
all we really need to know. And of course, I walk around talking like that, and of course get judged for, well, she needs to be in an insane asylum. But I've seen it. I've seen things magical. And when you experience energy like that, it's just no going back. You just like, that's how I experienced it, and I'm going with it because it felt good.
Mm-hmm.
It felt a
Mm-hmm.
lot better than crying, depressed, sad, lonely, dejected feeling, defeated
Yeah, there's
feeling.
just some people are at different stages of
Right.
handling it. So,
Yes.
if
And
you
I
have
hope
if
that
you're
this
having
helps give them ideas to
right,
just
if
take
you
the
feel like
small
you're in
step.
that situation, please pull yourself out of it. And we're here. I'm not saying that, we're your support team over here, but we'll try what we can.
Well, knowing that we all feel the same things, right?
Mhm.
We might express them differently, but no one likes to not feel needed or loved. No one
Mhm.
likes that feeling. So, just I think one of the things that's helped me process it a long time is just knowing that all of these emotions are natural. Not to deny yourself feeling bad. If you want to feel bad, give yourself a bit to feel bad, and then get yourself out of it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
it's social. There's something socially in humanity happening during these days globally. And I think it's been started, like we said, back to that 2012, 2015 time. And
Mhm.
I'll have to look back, and this is a stupid thing to want to look back to, but remember when adult coloring books became a trend?
Yeah, the mandala thing,
So,
coloring is therapeutic. Yeah.
right. Yeah. So I bet that car probably correlates with some of these planets making these very intense kind of aspects. Don't know it for sure, but if you watch trends, it kind of tells you where people are coming from. What,
Well,
it's
that's a collective conscious, of what people are generally thinking of at that time.
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're all together in it. Everything's going to be great. Everything is great. It just doesn't matter of perspective.
Mhm.
getting a bigger picture of everything and not being so focused on our little plate.
Yeah, personal stuff whenever you turn off the video and you're back to your core.
Well, and one of the therapies has always been, if you feel depressed or sad about anything, go and help somebody else.
Yeah, because that's helping you.
Right. So
Mhm.
there are a lot of tools out there. It's just a matter of staying motivated. And my thing about what's going on with the planet that motivates me, I'm determined to keep my vibration high. I'm determined because it's the only way to feel better.
Mhm.
It's the only way to feel better. And when I keep saying the KISS method, keep it simple, sugar, it just is that simple. We
Mhm.
make it very complicated, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's where the meditation practice comes in to kind of clear our minds, because of our monkey minds or whatnot. And instead of overthinking,
Right.
just don't think. Like,
Think about the light all around you and inside you. Be a light pod.
yeah, just keep it simple. Like, you want to be happy? Be happy. If you're sad and you want to be happy, just be happy. Like, there's no need to, like, put yourself in a state of depression if that's the case. So,
And
um,
keeping a sense of humor, right?
oh yeah.
Laughter is the best elixir.
And it's okay to indulge, if you want to eat ice cream, go ahead and eat the ice cream, okay, guys? Just
Oh,
saying.
golly, Ned, that's the hardest part is not indulging too much.
Right? There's always have to be some sort of a balance. So,
Well, and Libra is all about that. So we
mhm.
should have a month of feeling more balanced and not so much. We are coming out of somewhat of a stalemate energy with the retrogrades. Um, I think Mercury goes direct towards the end of the month, and then these other planets follow suit. So things are moving forward. We're going to have resolution from all the chaos and confusion, and we need to be focused on, how we want to make a wonderful life for ourselves and be creative.
Mhm.
Help other people, inspire other people to be creative if you can,
Mhm.
and yeah, you can always find something to laugh at online if you need a good laugh. Um, Albert Einstein, uh, there was always debate amongst astrologers if he really said this or not. I like to think he said it, but he said that astrology was the elixir of life. And, I've practiced astrology almost 50 years. And I can tell you that every chart I've ever done for someone who feels dejected or depressed, they always walk away with insight and a feeling of calm because there's usually a reason for why we're feeling the way we are. And when someone can tell you that it does pass and this is how it's going to be better, that just makes someone feel better. So,
Mhm.
the one thing that I did want to mention before we leave is anyone interested in a natal chart or a relationship chart and emails me the piece of information that I'm going to look for, if you have it when you initially reach out, would be the time of day. So the time of day on an astrology chart is linked to the accuracy of timing of things. So we want what's on the birth certificate if it's available. If that's not available, the next line would be to ask the father if available, because the mother is kind of tied up at that time. But just trying to find the most accurate time does help with prediction of futuristic events.
Right.
When we do like someone's partner with their chart and we don't know a time, we generally start with noon. There is a philosophy in astrology that whatever chart is presented before you, there was a reason or something in that chart that is helpful. Um, so it's an elixir of life, and I know that it's probably shepherded me through a lot of challenging things. And he also said, Albert Einstein had a saying, I might slaughter this, but basically it was, look, into nature more deeply, and you'll understand everything better. And how I take that is with these aspects to Pluto, the regeneration. That's what happens when we watch nature. And that's what we're
Mhm.
going through now, is a regeneration. So, you can fight it and claw and yell and scream and be ticked off about it, or you can embrace it, try to keep your humor, use your spiritual tools to keep some sense of balance and stress managed. What did we
Sounds
like to
good.
say? Managed expectations.
Yes. And guys, if you feel like your intuition isn't on point, because I know Scorpio Moon has those days, right? Go ahead and book a reading with Sunny. She has been very helpful for me on my personal journey. And again, you could visit her on her website at lionmountainhealing.com. And again, exactly as she had mentioned, all you would have to do is mention your natal birth time and your partner's birth time if you want her to look into your partner to see what's in store for you both, according to time. And so, yeah, thank you again, Sunny, for being here with us today.
Thank you
And I
for having me.
really,
I
yeah, and I really hope that everyone
about this.
had learned something new,
What did you
from
learn? I'm just curious.
well, I learned that there's hot guys in Greece.
I was wondering if you were going to say that. There were in the 90s. I don't know what it's like there now, but
I'm pretty sure it's still the same. But I had a ongoing joke because there was a Italian guy that I used to talk to, and he was a basketball player for a professional team in Italy. But I was joking with my friend because I was like, Italians, they're big and they're nice, but they're also gay. So they could go both ways if you want that, But yeah, I mean, so it might be the same since Greece is kind of next door.
have you ever dated a guy and never been able to get it together and find out he was gay?
I had a guy, he was actually a very high ranking officer, and it was his dirty little secret that I knew. I kept it, like he was very well known, but I knew how he was. But it's just something that, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always good to find that out so you don't feel rejected, right? You just didn't, you didn't have what they wanted. So, whatever.
Well, it wasn't about that. It was just like I wasn't feeling it with that person anyway.
I worked with this guy, and we would go out and have more fun. We'd horseback ride and have the most fun dates,
Mhm.
and just never could get anything intimate going. And it just sort of, we drifted, found different jobs. And 2 or 3 years later, a male gay friend of mine wanted me to go with him to this gay bar. And I was like,
Well,
John,
those are fun.
yeah, I was like, Johnny, I never been to a gay bar before, I don't know. And he'd had an argument with his lover. So he just wanted to go out and blow off some steam. He said,
Mhm.
"Oh, I won't leave you. I'll stay with you." And I hadn't walked 4 or 5 steps into the entrance of the place, and that guy I had dated had his tongue in another guy's mouth on the dance floor.
You actually saw it in action.
Oh yeah, he came over to me all flitty like after a little bit, and he goes, "Oh, I'd dance with you, but my boyfriend would get jealous." And I was like, "Wow, I should write a book. I could tell you tales that would curl your toes. It's not good when it comes to that." But anyway, um,
Yeah, so yeah. Well, thank you all for being here with us today. I hope it was entertaining for you all as
yes,
well.
yes, stay
And that,
flexible. Yeah,
yeah,
stay
that you learned a
flexible.
little
You're a conduit of light. I think it's
Yes.
true. And
So,
thank you, Scorpio Moon. Thank you, viewers. Thank you for indulging me with my silly stories.
Oh no, it's always a pleasure. I always like listening. I'm a listener,
Yeah. Well, I
So,
appreciate it. I hope it's helpful information and everybody has a good month and we'll circle back with some more good stuff eventually.
yes. Yeah, I can't wait for the end of the year and see what the new year brings. I'm already anticipating that. So,
Well, you know what? There might be Christmas gifts at the end of this month or before Christmas.
well, I hope it's the Christmas gifts that we all would like, if you know what I mean. Like,
Just keep praying and keep positive, keep the vibe high.
I have this sign from Santa Claus. It says, what is it? Only jolly men bearing gifts, you know,
Okay.
should enter. I've
Uh,
been waiting on that for years.
Jolly
Oh my,
men.
I've had this sign like,
I don't think I've ever met a jolly man.
well, yeah, they're all kind of pissy.
Jolly man. I wonder what that would be like, a jolly man. I'll have to think about that one. That's a good jolly. That's an interesting adjective to use. Jolly.
Well, it's more in line with Christmas, like, uh,
Yeah.
uh,
Oh,
yeah, ho ho ho, yeah, and that could have another connotation.
oh. Well, we're digressing.
Yeah. So again, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Thank
Bye
you
bye.
so much. I really appreciate the time tonight. Everybody
You're
have a good
welcome.
weekend.
You're welcome. All right. Bye bye, guys.